I need to begin this video with something of an apology. Unlike my earlier videos, where I was in a different room, standing up, and speaking completely extemporaneously, for this video, I'm in a different room, sitting down and with my computer and my notes in front of me. The reason for that change is this is a very important subject, and I need to be very clear, and I need you to understand me as completely as possible. So that's why we're making this change. I need to talk to you about the most important issue, which is to say the most dire issue, which is to say emergency, facing the people of the state of Illinois, and that's our budget. You know, we've elected series of legislatures and governors who have done such a poor job at managing our state's finances that, in my opinion, a group of monkeys locked in a room could scarcely have done much worse. But before I talk to you about my ideas to solve Illinois' budget crises, you deserve to know my core beliefs about the intersection of government and money and taxation. First, I believe in the smallest possible government and the lowest possible taxes that are consistent with a free society that is thriving. If you take the arguments of the low-tax crowd to their extreme, we'd have zero taxes and anarchy. And I don't want that. If you take the arguments of the tax and spend crowd to their extreme, well, we'd have what we have now, which is $214 billion in bills that we have no idea how to pay. And I don't want that either. I believe that we are mutually responsible for electing legislators and governors who didn't understand their fiscal, which is to say their fiduciary, responsibility to the state. And I believe that we are mutually responsible for helping to fix the problem. And last, I'm not going to tell you that there's no free lunch. Clearly there is, and we've been snorting at the trough for a couple of decades now. But every well has a bottom, and we've reached ours. So if you're serious about doing the right thing by your kids and by your grandkids, then please listen up. My plan to return Illinois to sanity, and then hopefully eventually to greatness, is as follows. Number one, I will sponsor legislation to require an honest, balanced budget in Springfield. Although we have a balanced budget provision in our Constitution right now, our government interprets it as allowing borrowed money to be included in the funds available to pay our bills. That's not what I call a balanced budget, and it has helped us to amass $214 billion in bills that we don't know how to pay for. Number two, I will sponsor legislation to demand zero-based budgeting in Springfield so that every line item on the budget, no matter how big, no matter how small, has to justify itself every single year rather than simply submitting for an automatic increase over the previous year's budget. I will also sponsor legislation to make one flat tax rate for all tax-paying entities in Illinois. That low tax rate will have a high initial exemption for businesses and for individuals who don't earn very much, and it will be phased out for businesses and individuals who earn a great deal of money. This would help us end the perennial bickering between business and individuals as to which among them owes the bigger burden of taxation to Illinois. Do we not all use the same roads and rely upon the same government services? I submit we do, and that having the same tax rate for all tax-paying entities will end conflict where it need not be. Number four, I will refuse to vote for any bill, regardless who or what party proposes it, if it adds 1 cent to our deficit or to our debt. Number five, I will propose legislation to end pensions for all state politicians. You know, the legislative pension program in the state of Illinois is actually the least funded of all the state pensions in our system. Only 16 cents of every dollar that is actuarially required to be in the fund to meet future payments is there right now. You know, state legislators have no union to run blocking for them to get in the way of this sort of reform. Our legislators should be the first ones in line to volunteer to make these painful changes, because they will be painful, and we have to lead by example. Number 6, I will sponsor legislation so that new state employees, rather than having pensions, will be offered the opportunity to participate in their own defined contribution, which is to say 401k style, or to be technical, 403b plan. It's the kind of plan where you put away your own money and you decide how it's invested. And at the end of your working career, it's there for you when you retire. I will also submit legislation so that existing vested pension participants in our state plans can have the opportunity to join those programs as well. They should not have to risk their retirements to politician-managed plans that, let's face it, are destined to go bankrupt unless something is done. Number 7, I want to get the state out of the business of managing local school district pensions. You know, it's a practice of local school districts to give teachers end-of-career pay increases that are vastly higher than their mid-career pay increases. The reason is twofold. Number 1, it helps the teachers when their pension benefits are calculated. But number 2, it's a little sneakier than that. The state is required to pay those pensions now, not the school districts. So the districts hand out these rich benefits that you, the taxpayers, are required to pay. I don't mind them doing that, but they need to be the ones responsible for paying their own pensions. I'm going to be very blunt here. There is also likely to be a need for a tax increase. That's just a fact. But lest you get angry at the messenger, please, remember my core beliefs. I will not propose any tax increase or vote for any tax increase that will be anything less than the smallest amount possible for the shortest period of time. You know, I spoke earlier of mutual responsibility. That is not my original thought. No less than our founding fathers pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honors when declaring our independence. Although our challenge here is less dramatic, it is no less impactful. We are no less free when we are subject to a king than we are when we are subject to debt and interest payments. By solving our problems, providing equity and predictability to the state, people will once again move here instead of move out. Businesses will grow and prosper, and our future will be brighter. Please join me in these very common sense changes. I'm Jonathan Edelman. If you're not already on my website, please visit Edelman4Illinois.com. I approve this message.